Hello everybody, this is Niclas Huschenbeth, and today I would like to share with you a game that I've played and just finished in the team competition Mitropa Cup. Mitropa stands for Middle Europe, so it's 10 Middle European teams playing against each other, and I'm honored to play for Germany on board one. And today was the first round. You see different background because I'm in Italy right now, and I would like to show you my game. So I was playing with the black piece. Unfortunately, I'm not able to flip the board, but we'll just go with it. And what's kind of different today is that I didn't look at the game yet with a computer. So we'll do this together because I have the engine running, and we'll see. We'll compare what I thought and then what the engine thinks about the move. So you see I was facing the c3 Sicilian, and I'd actually prepared this for a long time, or for a long time in the game, because my opponent had played this quite a lot and he had all of this before. So I'll go through this pretty quickly. He has played this before. Bishop to e7, knight f3, castle, and even this position here already had 3 times in the database, so I could prepare very concretely. And there are different moves here. One can take on c3, follow up with b6, but I thought I would like to surprise him and play the move a6, which is also a decent move here to prepare b5. He went bishop to b3, and I played knight to f6. There are also other moves in this position, but this has been played before and it's a decent move. The point is simply to not allow white to take on d5 and not allow him to get rid of this weakness on d4, the isolated pawn. He goes rook e1. This all has been seen before. Knight a5 to push the bishop back. White wants to keep the bishop, so he plays bishop to c2. Now I go b5. I want to develop my bishop on this diagonal, where it will be very strong. And I want to play knight a5 first, because if black goes b5 immediately, white can push d5. And this would be slightly annoying. At least white could easily equalize in this way if he wants to. So I went knight a5, when now d5 just doesn't work. I can go b4 here and take on d5 the next move. And he goes knight to e5. I played bishop b7 and he went bishop to e5. And here I thought for the first time all the other moves were pretty self-suggesting. And here I thought for the first time, and I played the move rook to c8. And I'm noticing that the computer is not that big of a fan of this move. He rather likes knight c6, and I thought about knight c6. Also an interesting move to attack the pawn on d4. What I didn't like here was the move queen f3. And the computer tells us this doesn't work at all for white because of knight takes e5, which I saw, queen takes b7, rook to b8, queen takes a6. I saw this position, but I didn't realize, I guess, that after rook b6, now in fact his queen is trapped. I didn't calculate far enough, so that's interesting to see for me. Here, if either queen goes to a7 or a5, black wins it with knight c6. Interesting. Okay, so knight c6 was actually possible, and if white has to exchange the knights, for example, then he doesn't have this very strong knight on e5 anymore, and this is definitely an improvement for black. And black is always a tiny bit better in this position because he has this better structure, so white has to compensate that by creating play against my king. I have the better structure because black has this isolated pawn on d4, which I can attack. Why is it isolated? Because no other pawn can defend it. No pawn on the c or e file to defend it. Alright, so let's go back. Knight c6 was a better move, possibly. I also thought about the move b4 here, but I wasn't too sure about it, and I didn't want to commit to this move, and the engine agrees here. White simply plays knight a4, and this is not too convincing. So let's see the game. Rook to c8, queen to d3. This is what I expected. And now g6. And my opponent played bishop to h6. I had to go g6, by the way, because white was threatening to take on f6 and checkmate me, so I had to go g6. Now bishop to h6, rook to e8, also on the move. And here my opponent thought for a very long time. And I expected him to go queen h3, but he played queen e2, which is a mistake. As you can see, the bar is moving in my favor. So queen h3, let's see what the computer says here. The point is that if I take now on d4, I thought that white can play knight takes f7, but computer does not agree that much. Okay, that's simple. Queen g4, which is a typical idea here. I cannot take on f7 because of queen takes e6 checkmate, of course. But queen g4 is a strong move, trying to exchange queens. And I thought that white can go knight g5. But here, as we'll see also in the game, now first it looks like white is doing okay. He's no material down, but now b4 happens. And that's a big problem because white will lose a piece on the c file. So it seems that after queen h3, queen takes d4, white will need to play something else. Rook a1, maybe, or probably. And I also looked at this move, but I thought I could now just play queen b6 to defend the pawn on e6. But here computer says white seems to have good compensation after a move like bishop g5. And he has some ideas here, like take on f6, take on f7. And this is what I was talking about. This is the compensation, or this is the play that white wants to achieve with this isolated pawn to get some attack going against the black king. So it's not clear if I should take on d4 after queen h3. Actually, I was planning more on maybe bishop f8 or maybe queen d6. So let me show you one line I looked at. Bishop f8, bishop g5, bishop g7. And now I thought queen h4 looks like a possible move. And I looked at this. b4. And now, let's see, what did I consider? b4, and here I thought knight g4, I think. Yeah, knight g4 is actually somewhat of a problem in this position. B takes c3, knight takes f6. Yeah, well, I didn't look at this because this looks pretty terrible for black. Yeah. In either case, this is what white probably should do, and I should probably not go bishop f8, more so queen d6, but also here, it seems the white position is okay, just rook a1, and complex position, not too much has happened. Maybe white can also play rook a1 right away, but my opponent play queen e2, same idea to play knight takes f7, but here queen takes d4 is stronger than in the other position, because now the queen is not as active as on h3. And here he played rook a1, knight takes f7, does not work because of queen g4. That's what I thought, and the computer confirms it. Now I'm even threatening checkmate here on g2, and after queen takes, knight takes, the bishop is also attacked on h6, and the problem is if you do something like this, then I can just take on f7 and play once again b4, and this is winning now for black. So after queen g4, there's also the move f3, but here I can just go to h5, and white cannot take on e6 because of bishop c5 check, winning the queen. And if he plays king h1, I'll just move my bishop somewhere and something will drop. So this is not working for white. My opponent played rook a1. This is the best move. And here I played queen h4. I kind of want to win the game right away, but this is too much actually. This is not the best move. And I noticed it only afterwards. I should maybe just retreat to b6. Well, actually I shouldn't. Wow. The computer says this is immediately equal. This was the alternative move I was looking at. But okay, what is going on? Bishop e3? I thought I can just play bishop c5, for example. He keeps annoying me with bishop g5. This is what the computer says. Okay. Well, it has some compensation. So maybe queen c7 here. Yeah, and this also seems to be clearly better for black. But surprisingly to me, the computer suggests queen c5, which I didn't look at all because I thought, well, now white can take on f7 once more. But here there's this move. I did not see this idea. Queen c6, threatening checkmate and protecting a pawn, then black can just take on f7 the next move. So this is winning. So queen c5 is a move because here bishop e3 is not possible since the knight would be hanging on the e5. Alright, so let's see it again. Queen h4. Now knight takes f7. Queen g4. So I want to do the same thing. By the way, here knight g4 doesn't work so well because white goes bishop f4, protecting h2. And yes, this guy is hanging, but white goes queen takes e6 check. Let's just make sure I'm not missing anything. Computer says bishop g3 first. Not sure why. Why not queen e6, king f8, bishop g3? This looks like the same thing for me. And I have to keep defending the knight. And here the rook comes in. I saw this position. I thought, okay, this is not what I'm going to do. This looks very, very dangerous for black. And indeed, it is better for white here. So I go queen g4 again. So it's the same position we saw earlier, but this time with the rook on d1. Now he goes f3, he has to. And here I took on f3. So my original plan was, as we saw earlier, to go queen h5. But what I realized is that here, after king h1, let's say, it becomes quite messy. So I was looking at bishop c5, but now white goes bishop g5. And the difference is that here he has this move, queen e5. And now the rook can come to d7 in case I move my knight. So that's somewhat of the problem here. And if I go knight d5, then knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, and rook takes d5. This is possible. Actually, I didn't calculate this, but now I know this. And I thought, why didn't I think about knight d5? But then I was calculating this move, queen takes f3, which looks very strong. White cannot take it because of checkmate. And I'm defending the knight. But it's not over here. White can go bishop e4, knight e4, and this looked completely unclear for me. And it is unclear too. Computer now says black is a little bit better, but quite crazy position here. Knight c4 suggested. Okay, very insane. I was looking at the boards 3 because we're playing on 4 boards, and I saw they were both clearly better, if not just winning. So I decided to play bishop takes f3, which just gives me an endgame, a pawn up, and I think this was a good practical decision here. So we reach this endgame, I'm a pawn up. White has the bishop here, but he also has the weakened structure here on f3 and h2. So this is clearly better for black. Not winning yet, but I have good chances. And in the match situation, that just made the most sense because we only needed one more draw, given that boards 2 and 3 would win to win the match. So my opponent played rook e2, good move. I played knight c4, I want to get the knight back into the game. And my opponent played knight e4. I was a little bit afraid of bishop b3, but then I thought maybe I could go g5. I wasn't sure about this. The point is if white takes, I have rook g8, and otherwise I want to go after the bishop. Computer says not so clear here, white can go f4, and black's still better, but game continues. So bishop b3 may be an alternative. Knight e4. Knight takes e4, bishop takes, and now I went rook e d8. That made a lot of sense to occupy the open file. Rook f1. Now I played bishop f6 to attack the pawn on b2. He goes b3, that makes sense. I bring the knight back to d6. I want to split his bishop pair at some point, either take on e4 or go knight f5. Now he goes bishop f4. And here we're also both in time trouble. We both didn't have much time, but I played bishop d4 check, which seems to be okay with the computer as well. King g2, and now I took on e4. I didn't want to allow him to take on d6 and enter opposite colored bishops, so I took on e4. This is also decent. King g7 to get out of the f file. Bishop g5, rook f8, rook takes, and here I took with the king, which is also the best move according to the computer. I want to keep the c file under my control. He went e5, which was interesting. He puts the pawn on the same color as his bishop, but on the other hand, he's not allowing me to go e5 myself when the bishop would be very strong on d4. So I think this was a good try. I went rook c5, bishop f6, and here we still had to make 4 moves. I played king e8. Not sure if this was the best move here. Could do something else. Computer suggests rook d5 here immediately. Yeah, king e8 just didn't seem like it was necessary at this point, but it also doesn't spoil anything. King f3, and now bishop c3, which also seems to be a decent move. I want to take the square away and play rook d5 maybe. h4, now I played rook d5 to have the option possibly to trade rooks, because the bishop endgame would be just winning with the weaknesses, and I'm a pawn up, so that would be good. King e4, and now I can actually do this rook d2, and he cannot trade rooks. That would be just losing. So he goes rook e3, and here this was my 40th move, and I wasn't really sure what to do. So I gave a check. Maybe I can just go 4, but I was not sure about this. So I played rook d4 check, king f3, and now I went b4, and actually computer likes this better, but I think b4 immediately should also be fine. Now he went rook e2, and here I again offered the trade of rooks, and this time he has to accept it because otherwise I'll just win the pawn on a2. The only difference now is, which I had to check, is that my pawn is on b4, so possibly also it can be attacked by his bishop, but I realized that my pawn majority here will just win the game. So this endgame is winning, and so we did it. I want to exchange the bishops because then the pawn endgame is winning, so my bishop to f8, and now I don't go bishop e7 immediately, that's not necessary, I just go h5 first. And here you play king d4. If he goes bishop g5, for example, that's just to show you the idea. I play bishop e7. He can win the pawn on b4, but now he's too late to get over there, way too far away. So I'll just queen a pawn here and win. So play king d4, but still go bishop e7. Bishop takes e7, king takes e7. Yeah, the pawn game is completely winning. King f4, and here play king g8, which it doesn't matter, but the point is that even without this pawn I would be winning here, because after, let's say, this, I'll just play g5 and then win this pawn and so on. But I even have, if I need it, I don't need it here, I even have a reserve tempo with a4. So my opponent resigned after king to g8. Yeah, it seems like overall there was a pretty decent game by me. No bigger mistakes. Just some misevaluations, maybe. In some of those lines, you noticed sometimes I miscalculated or didn't see something. But overall, a pretty decent game. After this mistake, queen e2, where he gave me a pawn on d4, I could keep the pawn for the rest of the game and then managed to convert in the end game. And to me, it looked pretty decent, if I may say so. All right, I hope you enjoyed this kind of format. I apologize if there were any hiccups, because I'm using the engine and my chess program and all that on my computer, on my laptop, and I'm not sure if my laptop had the power here, so I apologize if there were any problems with the sync or anything. I don't know right now. And well, let me know if you have any questions, and if you enjoyed the video, then make sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.